Hi, my name is David Brager, and the USA needs a miracle, and miracles must never come with price tags. So this is my way of effectively changing course overnight. If you want a new career in a brand new untapped communications field, in 2003, in reaction to George Bush's terror meters, which used mass hypnosis on my kids from his White House, I put the first FCC-compliant platform for hypnosis into the international public domain. If you go to tinyurl.com, tinyurl.com, /PD, for public domain, hyphen HYP, HIP, PLATFORM, HIP platform. tinyurl.com /PD-HIP platform, and you will find the first FCC compliant platform. Now, the reason why this is critical is that someone at DEA fought tooth and nail to get cannabis labeled a hypnotic because it matters. With cannabis, one puff, and you're in a subconscious state, you can skip the entire, I'm going to count from 10 to 1, yada, 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 yada crap. But you should run at least a baseline operating system before you really get into this. Please go to tinyurl.com /basic-all-in-one. And the one is O-N-E, not the number one. Basic all run together. And you will find a script that fixes post-traumatic stress disorder in one session, run one time. And it's free. And it's been sitting there. I posted that to us.military and us.military.army in 2004. It's not hypnosis. Your mind controls your avatar with 2 commandments using thumbs and 8 rules using fingers. When you scream out, I can't believe this is happening, as long as the Marine Corps can protect the barrier between fantasy and reality, as long as reality is safe, the whole world returns to being a playground. Marines, I have earned permission from David Huntoon of the U.S. Secret Service to do the impossible. I am going to ask the public to scream at the top of their lungs, Marines. Now, you must understand the reason why the U.S. Army is hoorah and oorah. Because if the U.S. Army gets into a situation where the U.S. Army needs help, they rip that off that grenade and scream out, oorah! And 480 years of Marines will realize that in the computer game of Armageddon being engineered around your lives right now, is no Marines on the planet are a faithful flock with no idea that from the end of the age today back to Sermon on the Mount is a time map. As those events that happened last, the first you see when you go back in animation sequences all the way back in space-time. Those will last be first. So I rose to be good shepherds when wolves in sheep's clothing try to pull the wool over the eyes of my Marines by emailing faxing tools as David Brager performing the fictional role of Aquarius, last prophet for Judaism. I was born on the 26th of January, so I was allowed to do this legally. My mom's dad, Isidore Lurie, turned up in the book Finding Our Fathers, a guidebook to Jewish genealogy. Revelation said some nincompoop in the paper King David had to rise and defend all. We hadn't considered someone caught a virus and wrote the Torah. It's a symptom of something. Love your enemy. How? Well, with 2 commands and 8 rules, the enemy is only in your imagination, or the Marine Corps will kill anybody who is the mortal enemy of any Marine. Please look at your hands and label them with the following labels. These are not written down there. Between your mind and your avatar. Left thumb represents how you love with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. Right thumb represents how you treat everyone as you want to be treated. Not everyone treats everyone as you want to be treated. This yin yang is supposed to arrive in Egypt and Greece and China when they're building pyramids, Parthenon, and Great Walls. But instead we were carrying a document which reads how we built the pyramids, how homosexual was forbidden, and pork was unclean. So when my ancestors arrived, they got the shit kicked out of them, and these doors were slammed in their faces. A very unique double cross. When I found George Bush using it from my White House to put in danger my life, so that he can put me in FEMA camps and use FEMA guillotines he paid to the vice president's company if they'd gone through Bechtel or normal chain of bidding. He just dictated, Halliburton's going to be the only contractor. This is a coup attempt. In 1833, U.S. President Andrew Jackson closed the second U.S. bank because, as he put it, I don't want these wicked people in my government. So I rose in 2008 to Aquarius at Brew Walhalla, Los Angeles, tinyurl.com /infectadmin. We'll just take you an article you'll find online, thankfully. Marines! Exclamation point. Save the USA from an infected administration. I rose to Aquarius. Cannabis is now officially the blessed herb. Judaism is no longer affiliated with the Torah. Cannabis sustains a subconscious state. Thomas Jefferson sends you 7 copies of the Declaration of Independence on hemp paper with a puzzle piece. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. 2013. There was a warning that there was a problem coming in 2013. A coup I stopped in 2008. The terror remains went around. The Russians are screaming their heads off. Things for 10 6 of fax to Washington, D.C. Embassy. Delivered tools for hypnosis from things, space-time analysis. Revealed it to the Marine Corps that doesn't know they're carrying this to the Russians and President Medvedev in the most courageous act. Backed away from a double cross. A Russian will never back down from war. But a double cross has no winners. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Everything you're seeing out here is a double cross until everyone knows hypnosis and remote viewing and space-time analysis. The tools are in plain sight in the design of the Torah, the Gospels, and the Holy Quran. The paper of King David are here to unite against the burning Bush, who secured loans beneath a very innocent and surprised Adolf Hitler. And while Prescott Bush is standing next to Hitler, go look, he's noted as his best friend. We didn't realize Prescott Bush was this type of bully, and he wasn't really actually doing it to bully Hitler. He was doing it to bully Gandhi and Walt Disney and Henry Ford. Skull and Bones had this, apparently this competition, who's the meanest man in the world, and the Bush family apparently are the burning Bush. When I realized they were acting as if they wrote the Torah, I went, a trap? We're carrying a trap. My loving, trusting parents will at the end of my John Thomas over this. It's remarkably personal. If he wants to execute my kid so he can sell body parts in hospitals because they've made healthcare with 2 commands and 8 rules, and Marines, to make this next decision, label from left index to right. Lie, scapegoat, dishonor, torture, steal, overwork, adulterate, or kill. If the answer is yes, your finger goes up. If your answer is no, the finger goes down. If it's 2 thumbs up, those specific decisions you never have to remember. This is memory management. This allows you to realize it's not Alzheimer's. We were not designed to remember. There's a collective. If you want to learn anything from anybody, have someone run a hypnosis session for you. Go to basic all-in-one. There's a section in there to insert other modules. In the adventure gaming section, go to tinyurl.com/TFT-archive, and you'll find the Futures Toolkit in pieces. Build your own copies of my book. If you sell them, please pay taxes. This nation needs a miracle. I'm running for president using a totally different approach. If you go to Infected Men, you'll discover that I say, before I run for president, I have to stop a coup. If you want to play by the rules, you let the Marine Corps kill the bullies that endanger the lives of Marines. In the next 48 hours from whatever time, the people of this nation stand at the windows and scream at the top of the lungs, Marines, 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 and wake up the sleeping giant. 480 years of Marines have been waiting for the opportunity. This is the Marine United Alliance, all Marines, as one mighty hand of God. And those very, very, very few, you're talking less than 1%, 1%, 1%, 1% of the planet, but these people exude the torture and dishonor and scapegoat and lie. They are trying to make Armageddon happen as written. And what they did to Lincoln is, in 1833, President Andrew Jackson closed their bank. So they attacked, but with sending people to the north and the south. They opened the VA, and they started moving opium as the only pain relief. Now, the problem is Marines addicted to opium are willing to torture and dishonor and scapegoat and lie. This is an alien attack on the values of Marines. They wanted to overthrow the U.S. government by virally attacking the Marine Corps. They ran the Manchurian Candidate Project on the Marine Corps, but here's they first made cannabis illegal the same day they made their opium illegal. They're moving opium. That's the conflict of interest we missed. And then they created the FBI with the rule that no, they just use cannabis, not opium, just cannabis. Now, I'm going to show you why this is critical. And then they ran the Manchurian Candidate Project in the United States Marine Corps, which terrified the public so no one would learn hypnosis. And then they created a Department of Education and said hypnosis the most PhD levels of study in psychology, what is a communications field through and through. And then They were on Stargate in the 80s making remote viewing look new. They didn't tell anybody this stuff was in the Marine Corps Bible. This is premeditated, but the most premeditated part is they attacked Obama. Bush spent every dollar he could find and created an invisible weapon to roll forward and collapse beneath the next administration, because James Buchanan did it to Lincoln. It didn't matter if Stephen Douglas or Abraham Lincoln won. The weapon was built by Buchanan. George Bush replicated every step and attacked another president from Illinois. These people repeat what they do. They repeat over and over and over. That's where their downfall is. The first coup attempt failed with Bush. They did another one during Obama's administration, and Thomas Jefferson saves the day and sends this thing, you got to use cannabis to see through time. So I built all these tools. I wonder if I can get this thing. On the back of the $1 bill, that's not a pyramid, that's a road away from you in space-time. Those events that happen last, the first just usually go backwards in space-time. And that's your mind's eye way there in the background looking at you here in the future. Now, you are sitting in a physical state, your body, but you have another state. You notice that both your eyes are on one side of your head? That's because space-time travels towards you, you make a decision, and then travels away from you. The way you process space-time is things are traveling towards you, you add your behavior to it, and then the effects travel away from you because time attached to matter from the tip of your nose to the furthest star is only in the past. If you want a really good understanding of space-time, take a video camera, aim it at a TV, let it feedback. Your hand is at T-0, T-1, T-2, all the way back. The bigger the screen, the better, because there are things in this dimension that fly through that are fourth dimensional beings. We have an attack of an interdimensional that is moving through pure logic, not matter. And video cameras are catching it. And we've been dismissing things because we've been looking at time wrong, because the Torah set out days and there's only the now, the past, the future, and the now. Muhammad, in tackling the first of three wise men quests, finds a world so immersed in chaos that myrrh is only be used as a embalming ointment because death is everywhere. So using the logistics of down siphon logistics, I mean, we've only had toilets for 150 years. But look what a toilet does. It washes the ugliness out of your life and siphons it away. Well, Muhammad said, hey, everybody, come to my hometown, go and teach you something, can't learn nowhere else. What? That we are one species, and that which divides us is the logic of some other species. Now, good and goddamn well, you are leader or parent. These rules are not to be broken. I'm leaving. You come back. There's a bully standing there frightening your people. Who do you side with? Blesses the meek. You side with the meek. Moses sides with the bully, breaks the tablet, storms up. That doesn't make sense. Contracts on the table. In 3,000 years of human logic, you find redundant copies of contracts. You do not find one copy that's encrypted by the author with its minions rolling out the... No, that's inconsistent with human logic. And finally, this most modern world, you would not expect there to be one copy of the instruction manual for the entire internet with its minions rolling out. No. You have, everybody in there has access to all the information. In the last couple of months, gates of pearls combined with pearls before swine to send 2,000-plus-year-old reconnaissance on Bill Gates being swine. He said, he who controls the internet controls the world. National Standards was pissed. They announced that Windows 7 and Windows 8 were the only things that they were going to support, but they didn't tell anybody they changed the time service to time.windows.com. The military changed all the upgrade of their software, but Bill Gates made good on his threat. Windows 10 came out, defaulted to time.nist.gov. In the last 3 months, an upgrade was sent, and now the time servers all go to time.windows.com. This is antitrust during a coup. And I let the Marine Corps, the chief of police of Medina, Washington, in email know that when the United States Marine Corps stormed into Bill Gates' house and killed everybody, the reason why the Torah has the blood on the house is anybody teaches generation after generation after generation to think like they write the Torah are so dangerous to the Marine Corps are going to kill the entire household, take all their money, and erase them from history. Never was. Their logic is too dangerous. Anybody that endangers millions of people so that they can kill everyone to win the game needed a special trap. before you birth something as big as heaven, on earth as it is in heaven. Fishes and loaves and raising the dead witnessed by moronic idiots who can't understand fire would require matter-rearranging technology. In the hands of the wicked be terrifying weaponry. In the hands of Marines who always go back for their dead. Who do you think I'm going to take this stuff to? I contacted the head of military strategy at Microsoft, who is a United States Marine, and notified him of every bit of what I'm working on, and he dropped me immediately. But I notified him that I had earned permission from Secret Service to raise some Marines, and that Microsoft is doing this illegal shit, and he's inside a corporation that he might have to kill Bill Gates to protect the Marine Corps. I need the whole Marine Corps to wake up, judicially stand, and kill a problem because somebody caught a virus and wrote the Torah. We have proof in the last 10 years that there is a parasite that overtakes the value structures of a host system. We never consider our species had had this problem for thousands or millions of years. My battery just said that you're about to die, you know. Elf is about to die. So anyway, my book, you can read it online. It should be free in the United States. It was supposed to be free, I thought, globally. But people in the outside of the U.S. told me that the Futures Toolkit at Scribd, they charge. So I took it off their website. Somebody put them back on the website, so I've been linking to it. But if I ever learn that they're charging people outside the USA, I'm going to be pissed because I'm not getting any of it. And I specifically took it off their website for that manner. tinyurl.com/The Futures Toolkit with no apostrophe. You'll find it is currently maintaining 19 thumbs up, and last time I checked, 0 thumbs down, which after it announces there's going to be somebody up there and go, thumb, but the thing is, as of today, there was still 0 thumbs down. I merged basic computer language with hypnosis beginning in 1983 using memory mapping techniques I learned from Jim Butterfield in 1982. He mapped the Apple II and everything Commodore, 6502. I asked him, well, how do you do memory mapping? He said, you poke data into a location and then peek at what comes out. And you go to the next. It's like sewing. In, out, in, out, in. He didn't say it's like sewing. I came up with that. But he said, poke it and peek it out. He said, you trust your gut, you take good notes, and you learn from what you do. And so I did all this work for understanding what hypnosis was in relation to computer logic and discovered a network between heads. You want to know what's in my head? You have someone run a hypnosis session for you. And at the point in the session where you get a chance to add a module, in the adventure gaming section in my book, in the back, you'll find personality replacement. And we were doing this for adventure gaming. Now, be very careful. If a person, it tells you in advance that they have a chaotic evil, anything you may want to constrain or restrain the person before you go in there, because I was doing a session in a church and I did not ask for alignment or anything, which was my downfall, but luckily the person looked at me and said, this is holy ground, but his eyes went fully black. You hear on the internet about black-eyed children. Well, I hypnotized someone and he didn't tell me that his character was his chaotic evil spirit guide. The person or being which he believed himself to be, the eyes dilated completely into black dots, and he looked at me and said, ugh, human. And that's the first time in my life I actually felt as a species, which is why I started to realize why we will not discriminate against race. Human is a race. Black, white, red, blue, green, purple, pink, whatever hair color or shade of being you are, the reality is that we're just one species. That which divides us is the logic of the Torah. Whoever the Israelites are, they have yet to be human. This is not our history. These are not our people. When I found George Bush, actually it was like he was a burning bush, and I went and to Brew and returned the paper back to 2 Commandments and 8 Rules. For the last 10 years, Skull and Bones and these bullies are using the Torah as weaponry, and they're using clogging and congestive logic. And the logic slows down so much. There's a cop and his wife that got cannabis brownies and ate them, and you'll find their... I think we're going to die, time stunning. So cannabis changes your perception of time so you can study time. That's why it's the blessed earth. But you exist from dimension 0 through dimension 8. This is Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. We exist in points, lines, planes, space, time, matter, belief systems, feelings, and communications set in a material phase, an idea phase, and a consciousness phase. That's why your right hand controls your left hemisphere, your left hemisphere controls your right hand, and your right hemisphere controls your left hand. X marks the spot. That's where your mind's eye is, between the two. You can see that this, and here's where it gets interesting. Goodness. Let me turn this off if there's enough light. There's zombie on light, hey! So, I'm sorry. The primary issue is, you have 2 commands and 8 rules. If you overlap them like this, okay, if you overlap them like this in front of you, you get what looks a little bit like, let's get it far enough, a shrouded figure with arms outstretched. The perfect religion for a slave has no books, no burdens, no leadership, no tithing, no slavery, increases intellect, decreases chaos, leaves peace in your life, protects your children, is simple, and is fun. This is a barrier between fantasy and reality. You let the fantasy drivers stay in your mind, and you make sure reality is safe. The bullies have breached the barrier between fantasy and reality and endangered this dimension. You ever find someone that exists to torture and dishonor and scapegoat and lie, you scream, Marines, 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 and you run away. And the Marine standing closest to you wakes up judgmentally, stand and kill a problem and make it go away. There's only one rule to heaven. Don't be the enemy of a Marine, period. Prisons, taxes, both came from the Torah. They are inconsistent with human logic. We goof, forgive them for they know not what they do. But when you apply literary criticism to the Torah, you discover it's actually written from the base of cyanide of manna. And the sneaky, rotten bastard that wrote the Torah used Passover to pass over the continuity error, so he completely missed that there's Area 51. How do you explain the area between the 5 books of Moses and the 1 extra chapter? Well, now it reads like Dungeons and Dragons. There you go. 4 books of rules. Half of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. You got the player's guide, Genesis, and the game through lies of 3 distinctly different Moses. The one that's fished out of the Nile, the one that divides the Red Sea, and one that unites the Red Sea. These are 3 different quests. A man which, according to I. Claudius author Robert Graves, that's my source, changed the name from Joshua Bar Jacob to a challenge to become Elijah, and tried to get the family of David to wrestle away from the Torah. And he couldn't do it. Let my people go is a taunting from the author of the Torah to anyone crazy enough to try to wrestle their family away from this nightmare. This is a wicked son of a bitch. The whole world has one common enemy, the author of the Torah, and anyone who thinks like writing more, to betray most those that trust them most. Hitler had no idea his best friend was Germany's most terrifying enemy. He was beloved, and if you ever loved your Volkswagen Beetle, if you knew the whole truth, you'd have to say that Hitler never violated all 4, because in his heart he thought he was doing the best thing for Germany. He didn't know that he'd been betrayed most. And that's why I contacted the German press and begged them to contact Chancellor Merkel and ask her to contact the Israelis. And the next day, on international news, I saw the streams of tears were crying out, but she was betrayed by Bush, who dishonored the office of the president by touching a world leader without permission. Sorry, didn't mean to spit on the screen. You do not play diplomacy by endangering the office of the presidency from the presidency. George Bush was a bully, and he made me look nukeable. Fuck him! My hometown sent an atomic bomb because Prescott Bush can't be trusted in business or war. Now I got Billy Bush standing right next to Donald Trump. And all these members of the family of David are Abraham, Elijah, Muhammad, and Aquarius versus George, Jeb, and Neil, Billy Bush, the whole fucking... When George Herbert Walker Bush stated to Sarah McClendon in 1992 while he's in the White House, Sarah, if the people ever knew what we Bushes had done to this nation, we'd be chased down the streets and lynched. Thank you, Mr. President. That means you couldn't be president, couldn't take oath of office. The Marine Corps should have killed you the instant you took oath of office for CIA. When you weed through the weeding, you discover that Woodward and Bernstein actually stumbled upon a coup in progress since 1833, and what Deep Throat was added the line by the screenplay's author, which he wasn't in the original state. Follow the money is the best tip I've ever had. So thank you to the people at the creation of All the President's Men. Everybody from the garbage collectors on up. Thank you for making something impact my life, because you had the background to educate me, because with dyslexia, I try very hard not to read unless it's got a backlit screen and well lit. I don't go to books because it's just not there. But if we get this stuff working, this stuff's free. It's built into you and your kids and everyone you know, and the paper King David will finally have delivered our prime objective. We end. Islam instantly follows for Judgment Day, and we reboot heaven on earth. Something went wrong. The Torah had an answer for how to be an ineffective civilization, but it didn't teach us how to be a species. To be a species, we must be free. 2 commandments, 8 rules of Marines. Don't follow me, follow your dreams. You have ability. Search YouTube for unidentified flying humans and search for Chris Angel and David Blaine. Not David Blaine, his stuff's not good. Dynamo Magician Impossible. David Blaine has done levitation, but nothing like these. At Rio, based upon what I've seen with hypnosis, turned out to be computational logic. That's why he's moving straight up and straight down. And the matrix is order-based. This material dimension is chaos-based. To protect the integrity of the data, there had to be a firewall. The 2 commandments, 8 rules is the firewall. You interface with the matrix works with you. Someone edited off a test against lies with creating a Torah, and a test against torture by having us carry the Torah, as well as a commandment to treat everyone as you want to be treated. That didn't arrive. What arrived was the Torah, which told us that these 2 things were letters in the Hebrew alphabet instead of its own language. We made a bad mistake. But for Muhammad to go out of his way to create all these tools to teach everyone everything, and then say you can't translate the Quran. Why? Because now he's going to teach you how to write one. And that's a greater lesson. How to save the world when you need to save the world. Muhammad saved the world. And he's a member of the paper King David. It's just a fair family fight. The family of David versus the Torah, and anyone thinks like writing war to enslave the world. The slavers needed a special trap. We goofed. We made a mistake. So with brouhaha behind me as Aquarius, I put the roll to bed. It should have ended then, but these people they want to keep playing war, but they don't want to get blood on their hands. And I think the Marine Corps need to change that. I think the Marine Corps need to realize that what the Torah did to Judaism is by picking it up, people hate the Torah and anyone carrying it. Very unique double cross. So what they did is they ordered U.S. Army personnel to Guantanamo Bay to torture people so that outside the USA, they were able to grow a mold of dishonor over the honor of the Marine Corps, so nobody would see in the Marine Corps that they'd been dishonored by Bush from the White House. I built games using hypnosis instead of graphics. I could see in my mind what they were doing, so I had a counter move. And anybody who's been pissed at the USA, I've been sending this stuff and trying to keep the peace. Bruce Bennett, the Rand Corporation, will attest that this crazy nut send this stuff to when North and South Korea are screaming at each other, and I sent it to every hotel in Bogota when the explosions went off down there. These people are trying to disharmonize the world into chaos. Nobody wants to play war except these bullies. If you see something that exudes the torture and dishonor and scapegoat and lie, you're looking at a zombie. Contact your Marines, tell them exactly what you are concerned about. They are judge, jury, and executioner. Don't lie to them, they'll kill you. There's only one rule to heaven. Don't be the enemy of a Marine. Now, fishes and loaves are raised the dead. Fishes and loaves are food. Fishes and raised dead can be grown from a single cell. So a set of 4, separate from a set of 2, 42. Now you squeeze all 3 concepts together. What makes them one? E pluribus unum, in all one. And then the squeeze against all 9 dimensions, points, lines, planes, space, time, matter, belief systems, people, communications, and break out the logic. And you'll start to see interdimensional logistics. 3 towers, 2 of one design, 1 of another design. 2 hit by planes, 1 not. All 3 fell down. How? Seismographs set to countdown timers set to explosives. 4 stopwatches revealed the first plane hit, start 2. Second plane hit, stop 1 to note distance between the first impact and second impact, start a third. First building falls, stop 1 to note distance between the first impact and the first building to fall, start a fourth. Second building fall, stop the other 2, note to note distance between the second impact and the second building fall, 1 to note distance between the first building fall and the second building fall. And what you get is almost perfect parallel in space-time, except the seismograph in the first tower went off when the second, for the first plane hit, set off the seismograph in the second tower, which is why it fell first. Proof. Cosgrove called to 911 exactly 2 minutes before the buildings implode. In the background of the call, suddenly you'll hear, this building was rigged for demolition. The pilots didn't do this. This is an inside job. Now, I have to show you bullies that give bad advice to good people. We need to protect the Rockefeller family. The Rockefellers are invested in Standard Oil of California, and these bullies have got people using fracking as weaponry and making Standard Oil of California look like shit. And when you start looking at the bullies, these Yale Skull and Bones people are all throughout our U.S. government right now, and every Marine that's standing closer to them are going to stand up with judge where they stand and kill them! And make them go and fucking make them die! Spoils of war, but you want to play war games in the United States of America with Marines standing right by you and endanger lives of Marines? Fuck you! All members of Skull and Bones of business plot the White House put in the PNAC document. You have built your own death sentence. Marines! 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 Hurrah!